The teasers dropped, the fandom went silent. In an instant, the entire K-pop world was turned upside down. Welcome to Starscope K-Report.
Join Eric and Minji as they ride the Hallyu wave, uncovering the biggest K-pop comebacks, shocking industry controversies, and major K-drama updates. From internet-breaking rumors to historic chart milestones, we dive deep into the world of Korean entertainment.
So today, we are unpacking a transformation that basically rewrote the rules of what a post-hiatus return can look like.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, when I was going through the source stack for today's deep dive, I had to double check the dates and the facts.
Right. Because
the sheer scale of this evolution is just staggering. We are charting BTS VA's trajectory during his mandatory military service, the deeply hidden medical struggles he faced behind closed doors, and of course, that historic OT7 reunion that currently has the entire fandom in a state of absolute emotional chaos.
Utter chaos. I mean, the contrast here is what makes this such a compelling narrative, you know? We're tracking a total metamorphosis. Like, it's the journey of the soft-spoken, deeply artistic idol transitioning into this highly decorated real-life tactical operator and then making this triumphant stadium-shaking return. But getting to that stadium stage required navigating some truly harrowing, completely invisible battles.
Right, and to understand the stakes of those battles, we really have to start with the physical evolution.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Because if you picture a split screen, right, on the left, you have pre-enlistment V.
Right, the quintessential winter bear aesthetic.
Exactly.
Very ethereal, romantic, leaning into that high-fashion, slender idol silhouette.
Yeah, and then you look at the right side of the screen, you have bulked up tactical V staring down the lens in a black special duty team uniform. The sheer mass he put on it's startling.
It genuinely jolted the public. When those first images surfaced, you saw this wave of absolute shock just ripple across social media.
Oh, for sure.
The physicality he developed wasn't just a slight toning up, it was a complete architectural rebuild of his frame.
Yeah, and I found this detail in a report from Koreabu that proves this was a highly calculated mission.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so back in December 2023, right before enlisting, he set a very public, highly specific goal. He stated he wanted to gain 24 kilograms.
24?
Right. And fast forward to his discharge in June 2025, and he actually hit the target.
That is insane.
When he stepped out, fans immediately started circulating these side-by-side comparisons, dubbing his new physique Ma Dong-seok arms.
Oh my gosh, I saw that. And for listeners who might not be like deep into Korean cinema, Ma Dong-seok, who's also known as Don Lee, is essentially South Korea's premier heavyweight action star.
Right.
He is famous for being incredibly massive and throwing these devastating screen-shaking punches.
Yeah.
So to have a member of the world's biggest boy band compared to him physically, that is a massive paradigm shift in how the public perceives an idol.
It really is. And I want to dig into how he built that physique, because this wasn't just a matter of hitting the gym to look good for a future photo shoot.
No, definitely not.
According to official military records and some breakdowns published in the Korea Herald, V volunteered for and was accepted into the Elite Special Duty Team, the SDT.
Which is huge.
Yeah, he was placed in the ROK-2 Corps, specifically the 2nd Army Corps over in Chuncheon.
Right, which completely changes the context of his service. Because military enlistment is mandatory for South Korean men, yes.
Right.
But applying for the SDT, that is the deliberate choice to take the absolute hardest path available.
Yeah.
It is a grueling, highly selective counter-terrorism unit.
And the operational parameters of the SDT are intense. They don't just, stand guard at a checkpoint.
No.
The Military Police SDT actively patrols the demilitarized zone, the DMZ.
Wow.
And because of the stipulations in the 1953 Armistice Agreement, the environment inside the DMZ is highly restricted and uniquely dangerous. Like, you can't have regular army units in there. You can't roll in with heavy vehicles or squad-served weapons like mounted machine guns.
It's strictly military police on foot.
Exactly. They are trained to act as a rapid response special operations team against direct, close quarters threats. So V was operating in one of the most volatile, high-tension borders on the planet.
That tension is exactly why the domestic reaction was so visceral. Let's look at the netizens' response to that promotional video that dropped in April 2024.
Oh, the promo video.
Yeah, this wasn't some glossy music video. It was raw, tactical footage filmed by the Corps members themselves.
I watched that footage a dozen times while prepping for this deep dive. He is in full, all-black urban combat gear.
And it was an immediate viral sensation. You see him executing these urban combat shooting drills, staring fiercely down the camera, handling heavy firearms with absolute total precision. And the military officials even released a statement confirming he was hitting the target flawlessly during these live fire exercises.
Whoa.
The comment sections were completely flooded with people calling him Captain Korea V.
Captain Korea.
Yeah. This is undeniable display of lethal competence.
And the commendations back that up. By the end of his service, he didn't just quietly finish his time, he achieved the rank of sergeant.
Right.
He earned the Elite Special Warrior Badge, which requires passing punishing physical and marksmanship tests.
It's not easy.
No, and he was officially recognized as an ace marksman. And his name is actually slated to be etched into the SDT Hall of Fame for his unit.
That is just, but you know, the piece of this era that truly solidified his legacy wasn't just the tactical gear or the marksmanship badges.
Oh.
No, it was a singular moment that proved the core of who he is hadn't been hardened or lost.
Oh, you're talking about the viral encounter at the Chuncheon Veteran Culture Festival.
Yes, in June 2024. So picture the scene. He's on active duty, heavily patrolling this crowded public event in his full black uniform. He is literally on the clock, maintaining security.
Right.
And suddenly, he spots Lee Ji-young from the legendary vocal group Big Mama.
Yeah.
She is a highly respected senior artist in the Korean music industry.
And he breaks protocol, but like in the most respectful way possible.
Exactly. He goes completely out of his way, marches up to her, and delivers this deep, polite 90-degree bow.
Wow.
He shakes her hand, gives her a sharp, perfect military salute, and then turns and sprints back to his patrol van to resume his duties.
The contrast is astonishing. I was reading the translated Dispatch article about this, and the funniest part is she didn't even recognize him at first.
Really?
Yeah, she posted on Instagram later admitting she just thought a particularly handsome, well-mannered soldier was greeting her.
Oh my gosh. It is the ultimate display of duality. You have this highly trained counter-terrorism operator who can hit a target perfectly under pressure, but he is still this deeply humble, gentlemanly artist who will literally sprint across a parking lot to show respect to a music industry senior.
Yeah, and even his own bandmates were caught off guard by the transformation.
Oh, yeah.
We have to look at the Weverse live transcript from when RM and the maknae Jungkook jumped on a stream together.
A workout crew.
Right. They jokingly dubbed themselves the workout crew, but RM had this moment of total disbelief. He flat out told the fans, "Shocking news, Taehyung is stronger than me."
And Jungkook's reaction was priceless. He immediately backed it up. RM, who is famously dedicated to weightlifting and his own physical fitness, he admitted, "He's bigger than us. We can't even finish the sets he does now."
RM noted that while he and Jungkook were doing standard bodyweight and conditioning exercises, V was undergoing extreme heavyweight training inside the special forces. Like, RM literally looked at the camera and said, "I lose to him in a fight."
And in classic fashion, when V eventually responded on a later stream, he just humbly laughed it off.
Yeah.
Claiming he was merely being consistent with his routine.
Just consistent.
Well, okay, I want to challenge the standard narrative here for a second.
Yeah.
We usually treat an enlistment era as a forced hiatus, right? An unfortunate pause button where an artist vanishes and the industry just holds its breath until they return. But looking at the sheer intent behind V's actions, it wasn't a pause at all.
No, not at all.
If you think about a typical K-pop idol, they are trained from adolescence to be what gamers call a glass cannon.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Right. They're built for explosive, high-damage performance on stage, massive charisma, and dazzling choreography. But they are structurally fragile when it comes to raw, grueling, combat-level endurance.
Exactly.
What V did was take that glass cannon and march it straight into a tank factory.
Yes.
He weaponized that mandatory hiatus to completely rewrite his physical and mental stats, preparing for his career's next chapter.
That analogy hits the nail on the head. He refused to let the system pause him. He utilized the system to forge an entirely new armor.
And that's not even the wildest part of this comeback.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
Because behind the armor, the viral clips, and the prestigious medals, there was a profoundly painful reality unfolding. Something that nobody, not the media, not the fans, not even his closest peers outside the unit, knew about.
I want to pivot to the timeline of his injuries because the factual breakdown here shifts the entire tone of his service.
It really does.
So in April 2025, a fellow soldier who served alongside V published a long, heavily detailed message on Instagram. When Soompi translated the post, it revealed that V was pushing through severe chronic physical pain,
Right.
specifically debilitating shoulder and thigh injuries.
And the heartbreaking part is that he refused to stop.
He didn't slow down at all. According to the soldier's account, despite these agonizing injuries, V still took first place in full-arm shooting.
Wow.
He took first place in the punishing Winter City tactical training, and he still earned the Military Police Exemplary Award.
That's just unbelievable.
The soldier described running a 3-kilometer physical fitness test side by side with V. V was visibly injured, in pain, but he was the one loudly shouting, "Fighting!" to motivate his squad to drag themselves across the finish line.
As someone who understands the culture of these fandoms, reading that account is deeply moving, but it is also incredibly distressing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You have to understand the immense, crushing pressure placed on visuals and top-tier idols. From the day they become trainees, they are conditioned to project absolute perfection.
Right.
They're taught to swallow their pain, to smile through exhaustion, and to never, ever show a crack in the veneer. So when the fandom learned that he was silently absorbing all this physical trauma while serving as the literal anchor of morale for his elite unit, it was a sobering realization of how much he carries internally.
But wait, I have to stop you there because the shoulder and thigh injuries were just the physical surface.
Right.
The true shock came directly from V himself. And the mechanism behind how it happened is what makes this a real tragedy.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Let's look at the August 2026 Weverse Live with Jungkook.
That broadcast fundamentally changed how the public views the intersection of the idol industry and military duty.
It really did. Over a casual late-night meal on stream, V drops this massive revelation. He casually states that he has been battling a severe, degrading hearing decline for 2.5 years.
Just let that metric sink in for a second.
Yeah.
He admitted that, as of that broadcast, he only has 30% hearing remaining in one ear.
30%.
For a generational vocalist, for a musician whose entire livelihood and artistry depend on auditory precision.
The math on this doesn't add up for me at first glance. Like, how does someone functioning in a highly elite tactical military unit hide that they're essentially going deaf in one ear?
It only makes sense when you look at the psychological crossover of the two worlds he was inhabiting.
Right, because he stated his condition significantly worsened while he was in the military. But when he tried to bring up the physical symptoms to his superiors, he was completely gaslit.
Yeah.
He explicitly said that they told me it was a mental health issue, so I got brainwashed into thinking it was a mental health problem.
This is the blind spot we have to unpack. You have a young man who has spent a decade in the K-pop industry, an industry that already teaches you to suppress physical vulnerability. Then you drop him into the hypermasculine, no pain, no gain ecosystem of the special forces. In that environment, extreme physical suffering is normalized as weakness leaving the body.
So institutional stoicism meets idle conditioning.
Exactly. The culture demands such extreme mental toughness that a genuine, measurable neurological warning sign, like losing your hearing, is brushed off by leadership as a lack of focus or mental block.
Wow.
When everyone around you, from your commanders to your peers, insists that your physical failing is actually just a mental weakness, you start to believe them.
Yeah.
He ignored a degrading medical emergency because the system convinced him he just needed to push harder.
I want the listener to think about this for a second. Have you ever been in a workplace, a sports team, or any highly competitive environment where you were pushed to ignore a real flashing red physical warning sign because the culture around you demanded you just tough it out? So toxic.
It is. Imagine that psychological pressure, but amplified by the expectations of an entire nation watching your military service and the entire globe waiting for your music. It is a systemic failure that forced him to endure a potentially career-ending condition in total silence.
It really casts a shadow over the highlight reel, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Every time he smiled for a unit photo, every grueling training drill he aced, every time he shouted "fighting" to encourage his squad, he was simultaneously experiencing the terrifying, isolating reality of losing one of his most vital senses, believing it was entirely his own mental failing.
He did confirm in that same live stream that he is finally receiving proper medical treatment, therapy, and medication for the hearing loss now.
Yeah.
But the sheer endurance required to navigate 2.5 years in that state is almost incomprehensible.
It really is.
If you love staying updated on your favorites and uncovering the deeper stories behind the headlines, make sure you're subscribed to Starscope K-Report. We've got even bigger scoops ahead. You definitely want to stick around because the story does not end in the trenches or in the medical clinic.
No, it doesn't. Later in the episode, we'll talk about the shocking plot twist in this drama that nobody saw coming.
The reunion.
Yes, we need to look at the glow-up, the musical return, and the emotional reunion.
The King's return.
Yeah.
We are talking about a seismic shift from the gritty, exhausting reality of the military directly back into the blinding lights of the global stage. The Halley wave did not just resume, it crashed back onto the shore with unprecedented force.
So let's trace the timeline of his reintegration. V was officially discharged in June 2025. His statement to the press outside the base was brief, but very telling. He told reporters, "I had time to rethink and realign both my body and mind. I've rebuilt myself."
And we didn't have to wait long to see what that rebuild looked like in a civilian context.
No, we didn't. September 2025. V makes his first major public appearance at the VIP movie premiere for Park Chan-wook's highly anticipated film, No Other Choice.
Oh, that night.
He attends with RM, and I pulled the media coverage from that night, and the visual shift dominated the trending topics globally.
The timeline was in absolute shambles. Fans were losing their minds.
No, I remember.
He stepped onto that red carpet wearing a beautifully tailored dark blazer layered over a simple brown sweatshirt. It completely subverted expectations.
Right.
It wasn't the flashy, heavily accessorized styling you typically expect from a K-pop star. It was grounded, understated, and dripping with mature elegance.
And entertainment media outlets specifically highlighted the lack of heavy makeup or stage styling. It was just his sharp, incredibly defined, post-military features carrying the entire look.
The word aura gets thrown around constantly in fandom spaces, but this was a definitive shift in his presence.
Yeah.
The boyish artistic charm of his 20s was still present in his smile, but it was anchored by this dense, grounded masculinity. The military had essentially stripped away the glossy, idle veneer, leaving behind a raw, striking leading man. I guarantee you, anyone who claims they're biased didn't get severely wrecked by post-military Taehyung that night is absolutely lying to themselves.
Oh, totally. It was a massive stylistic reset, and it laid the perfect foundation for the musical explosion that followed. Fast forward to August 2026, the moment the industry had been holding its breath for. BTS officially drops their fifth studio album, Arirang.
The sheer magnitude of that comeback cannot be overstated. The hype was a tidal wave.
And they executed it flawlessly. They didn't just release a highly anticipated album, they instantly launched a colossal world tour. Just a few weeks ago, they played back-to-back, totally sold-out shows at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey to roughly 160,000 people.
It is the dictionary definition of an all-kill. They dominated the global charts, the physical sales, and the cultural conversation simultaneously. But what really struck me was watching the tour footage. Seeing V on that massive stadium stage, projecting that same sharp, unshakable energy he cultivated in the SDT, it fits this new, elevated era of BTS so perfectly.
I see a clear parallel here. Viray's personal evolution, the intense physical bulking, the quiet, agonizing endurance of his hidden medical struggles, and the refined, grounded maturity he brought back, it perfectly mirrors the evolution of the band itself.
Right.
When you watch them at MetLife, they aren't the hungry underdog rookies trying to prove themselves anymore. They aren't even the shiny global pop phenomena they were during the Dynamite era in 2020.
No, definitely not.
They have transitioned from boys to men who are now highly conscious of the immense weight of their own legacy. There is a totally new gravity to how they carry themselves on stage.
That gravity is palpable. You can feel the shift, not just in their performances, but in how they interact with each other and the fans behind the scenes, which brings us to the event that truly broke the tension of the last few years.
The Weverse Live.
The Weverse Live.
The historic OT7 reunion. The first time all 7 members sat down for a full, unscripted live broadcast in 2026.
It was everything the fans desperately needed. There was no heavy production, no teleprompter, no script. It was just the 7 of them, crammed into a room, eating delivery food, and instantly reverting to teasing each other mercilessly about who was talking too much.
It was great.
The chaos was instantly comforting.
But it was also deeply emotional. Suga, who the agency confirmed is still pacing his physical recovery and taking group activities slowly, looked incredibly at peace just sitting back in the room with his brothers.
Yeah.
And then RM had this incredibly quiet, reflective moment that shifted the whole tone of the stream.
You know exactly the moment you mean.
RM looked around the room and talked about how profoundly surreal it felt to finally just be sitting together as seven without the looming shadow of enlistment countdowns or impending departures hanging over their heads.
You have to remember, for years, every single group activity, every concert, every album release had this unspoken ticking clock attached to it.
Right.
The entire fandom was always doing the math. Who has to leave next? When is the next hiatus? To hear their leader articulate the absolute relief of that clock finally stopping, it provided a profound sense of closure for both the group and the audience. And then, true to form, they immediately destroyed the emotional atmosphere by promising that their future group broadcasts would be even more unhinged and disorganized.
Which is exactly the kind of chaos we are here for. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss a KT update.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought to really mull over.
Okay.
We've charted this incredible, taxing journey from achieving the absolute pinnacle of tactical military excellence in a counterterrorism unit to silently, painfully battling the terrifying reality of severe hearing loss and finally standing triumphant back on a stadium stage. Considering the profound level of mental endurance V was forced to cultivate, surviving that kind of psychological and physical pressure cooker, how will that newly forged resilience shape the raw emotion and the sonic direction of his future solo music? Does true, lasting artistry require an artist to be broken down and rebuilt in that kind of silence and struggle?
You've been listening to Starscope K-Report, where Eric and Minji bring you the stories shaping K-pop, K-dramas, and the global Hallyu wave. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.